Today I want to talk about how to build a carnivorous plant terrarium. And the lighting in here is from an old aquarium light, so there is a lot of blue in the picture. I want to start out by saying this is a 37-gallon fish tank. I had my discus in here, but this tank sprung a leak about halfway down, so that's a whole other story. But what I decided to do was turn it into a carnivorous plant terrarium. So I have some plants in here, but first I want to talk a little bit about the substrate. I think you can see the thickness here, about 3 inches of, it's cocoa core. Now, a lot of people recommend using peat. I don't like to use peat, so I used cocoa core in here, and it's got a layer of sand over it, and I've been growing carnivorous plants for years in cocoa core, because it basically is inert. It doesn't have any nutrients, and with carnivorous plants, they get their food from eating insects, not from the soil. So it's real important that they be in a growing medium that doesn't provide nutrients, and that you don't fertilize them, and also that your water is pure. Now, I am lucky. My tap water comes out at 30 parts per million, so I can use it straight out of the tap. But if you're over 50, you're going to need to use the distilled or RO water for these, because they don't like minerals in the water either. So these are also supposed to be acid-loving plants, but I have not had a problem with that. My cocoa core is neutral, and the plants grow fine in there, and my water actually comes out at about 8.3, which is quite alkaline, and I water my plants with it inside and outside, and it doesn't seem to present any problem. So I don't know that all the pH guidelines you read about are necessarily set in stone, but it is real important that the water is pure, and there is nothing in my water, so it does work. These plants do need a lot of light, so you're going to need a good light. An LED light would be the best choice. You can use an aquarium light. That's fine, but basically this is cocoa core. It has a layer of sand added in, and some people like to mix in vermiculite or perlite or sand. Generally, the only reason the sand is here is because I had fish in here originally. So also laid out in here is a bunch of New Zealand long fiber sphagnum moss. Now, in my other terrarium, it regenerated and turned green. I don't know if it will in here or not, but it's a good way to build a terrarium, because you can keep the humidity in, you can put a light on top. I will go over the plants in a second. But I like using aquariums. I have another one that I have some Sarracenias in, and it's an experiment because they typically need a winter dormancy, so I don't know how they're going to do. I've heard young plants can get through a couple of years without a dormancy. Then they need lower light, lower temps. I might put them in the fridge. I really don't know. And I'll get into that in another video, but I want to go over what I have in here. It's kind of hard to really get a good shot in here because I'm up against the wall pretty much. So bear with me, but over here on the end, and I'm going to zoom and we'll see if we can get it, is Venus flytrap. This is a variety called dentata, and you can see it has some pretty wicked teeth on it, which is why I bought it. Okay, then next to it is a butterwort, and its scientific name is Pinguicula aphrodite. Anyway, it's a butterwort. And these plants, unlike the Venus flytrap, which has traps in it, they have leaves that attract insects, and the insects stick on the leaves, and then they eat the bugs. So that's the other plant. Now in the middle, this is a Nepenthes pitcher plant, and it's Nepenthes truncata. It's got these cut off leaves, which is why they call them truncata or truncate. It's starting to make some pitchers. It's a young plant. This plant can get quite large, can get 2 or 3 feet across and 2 or 3 feet high. A lot of Nepenthes do vine. This one tends to be a little more bush-like. We'll see. Anyway, so that is like my centerpiece plant. It might overtake this whole terrarium at some point. Next, this is a sundew, and it's called Montague Pass, probably named after the place it came from, South Africa. Now there are South African sundews, and then there are hardy sundews. You don't really want to do hardy sundews indoors, but these plants here are all tropical, so they should be fine without having to have a dormancy period. The next plant here is another butterwort, and this one is called Giganta, and it's supposed to get about 1 foot across. Same deal. It's got leaves that attract bugs, and the bugs stick to the leaves, and then they eat the bugs. Indoors like this, you're probably going to have to feed your plants. Now, I've read a lot of garbage online about feeding them hamburger or cheese. Please don't do that. If you want to feed them, you can use fish food. You can buy, insects that you can feed them, or maybe you can catch them in your house. But they won't be able to digest fatty, human food. So don't feed them that. They don't need to be fed a lot. Maybe once a month, give them a little bit of food. I have not fed any of these yet. These plants were actually set in about a week ago. If you look at that sundew, you can see that this one here has a curled branch. And that's because it caught something, and what they do is they roll up on it and they digest it. So it's eating. Basically these plants are pretty easy to take care of, as long as you remember that you don't want to treat them like regular house plants. You don't feed the soil, you give them pure water, and they like it warm and they need bright light. If you can provide that, and humidity, and if you can provide that, they're very easy to grow. And that's one of the reasons to use a terrarium, because it makes all that a lot easier to do. So any fish tank will do. I keep about 1 inch of water near the top. I sink the pots into the soil, and then they can absorb moisture. They need to stay wet. Most of these are bog plants, and they need to stay wet. So there's water in the bottom because this tank only leaked about halfway up for some reason. I don't know why. But apparently tanks have a life. I thought a glass tank, if it was taken care of, would last forever, but apparently they're only supposed to be good for 10 to 15 years, and then the seals go out, and so I guess the seal went out on this. And anyway, now it's a carnivorous plant terrarium, and my discus are in my 90-gallon tank in my living room doing fine. Kind of a long story, and eventually I'll do a video on that tank, but this is what we got going right now. So any aquarium size will do. Make sure you have a good light. You know, you can put them in a sunny window, but you know, if you're in most places in the country in the winter, there just won't be enough sunlight. So you really want an LED plant light, and you want full spectrum. That's what this light up here is. And actually, it's a pretty powerful light. I only have it up about 10%, so I can get a lot brighter, but I want to give the plants a chance to acclimate, and don't want to blast them too much. So, like I said, it's pretty hard to get this whole tank in the video, but you get an idea. Main thing, like I said, tank will provide humidity, light, and a growing medium. You can use peat if you want. Like I said, I prefer coco coir, and I get good results with it. Your results might be different. The pots are sunk into the soil, and they will be able to live in these pots for a long time. These plants do not have real extensive root systems, and so you can keep them in these pots for a couple of years anyway. These came from the grower. I got these plants from Sarracenia Northwest. They're over in Oregon. They have great plants. They package them real carefully. I'll put a link to their website in the description, and there's a lot of information on there on how to grow them. So if you're looking for something a little bit different, this might be a great project, and it's a good one, you know, especially now as I record this. It's getting close to fall. A lot of things outside will stop growing, and it's nice to have some plants indoors. And you know, these are pretty cool plants. You know, I really can't wait to see this Nepenthes picture out, because they make gorgeous pictures, and they're big, and you can just drop bugs. Or I'm going to be using fish food. I have a lot of fish food, so I can drop a pellet or a flake on these plants, and they will do just fine with that. And with that, I think I'll bring this video to a close. So take good care of yourselves. Happy gardening. Don't forget to stay green.